Welcome back, to Empire of Shadows. In Part 3, blood was spilled in Jersey. Donario and Garrido turned a warehouse into a battlefield. By dawn, Donario was shaking hands with Senator Ortega, while Marco still burned with fury, ready to challenge his own father. And now, Part 4 begins. The flames of rebellion ignite, while the political chessboard tightens its grip. Marco strikes with blood and fire, while Donario faces another war: politics, money, and the press. Thank you for walking this journey with us. Peaky. If you've been drawn into Empire of Shadows, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, so you won't miss the twists yet to come. Now, let's step into Part 4, the fire and the chessboard. Brooklyn night was thick with exhaust and burning asphalt. Warehouse 23 crouched by the river, silent as a sleeping beast. But in the dark, shadows moved. Marco Trump's loyal men. He stood at the center, black shirt, sleeves rolled, eyes burning. Tonight, Garrido learns Trump isn't a stuffed tiger. Tonight, we bite back. A lieutenant handed him a gas can. Marco poured it slow across the door. The sharp reek filled the air. His pulse pounded, not with fear, but with thrill. He had waited for this moment since the wedding's humiliation. "Light it!" Marco barked. Flames roared up, red as a serpent licking brick walls. In minutes, the warehouse was a furnace, but the trap snapped shut. Gunfire ripped from behind. Bullets tore walls, sparks flying. "We're ambushed!" someone shouted. Marco spun, pistol drawn. "Fight!" Shots cracked, men fell, blood smeared concrete. Marco dropped two enemies, then a bullet ripped his shoulder. Pain seared, shirt soaked, but his eyes blazed hotter. Every shot he fired carried his rage, his shame, his vow. In the firelight, Marco loomed like a wounded beast. Trump Estate, 5th Avenue. The call came before dawn. Enzo's voice was gravel. Marco torched Warehouse 23. Garrido's men ambushed. Many dead. Donario set down his coffee, eyes dark. "He's alive?" "Yes." Wounded silence hung. Isabella entered, face pale. "You see, our son is turning himself into a target. When does it stop?" Donario rose slowly. "When he learns fire never beats steel." Queens Underground Clinic. Marco lay bandaged, face drained, eyes still blazing. Lucia wept at his side. "You'll destroy us all if you keep this up." Marco rasped a laugh. "What do you know? Politics, headlines, Garrido, Santos, they laugh at you. Only blood shuts their mouths." Lucia gripped his hand hard. "No, if you keep chasing blood, there'll be nothing left to save." Enzo entered, air heavy around him. "The boss is coming. This time, you'll listen." The confrontation. Donario stood silent, gaze deep as a pit. Marco forced himself upright. "You'll scold me, father, or kill me now?" Donario's reply was slow, cutting. "You are my blood, but blood that spills wild drowns a family. You think your fire makes me proud. It only makes me weary." Marco's fists shook. "I only want honor back." "Honor isn't bought with soldiers' blood." Donario's voice sliced. "Honor is when the enemy kneels at the table, signs the paper, and doesn't dare lift his head. You must learn that, or you'll die before you ever become a man." The air froze. Marco bit his lip till blood ran, but said nothing. Closing that night, Donario stood alone on the balcony. Garrido had won a round. Marco had bled his own fury. Lucia fought to keep the foundation clean. The war was no longer just gangs. It had spilled into politics, and every step forward forced a choice: survival through blood or through law. Staring out over Manhattan's glow, Donario whispered, "Soft power is never soft." That morning, the Florida sun blazed as if it wanted to burn everything in its path. Inside the marble hall of the state capitol, The air conditioning could not overcome the heat of perfume, of bodies pressed close, of freshly printed paper. Rows of chairs stood in perfect lines. Banners above promised transparency, economic growth. Camera flashes burst like lightning, reporters jostling for space. Donario Trump sat in the VIP row, Isabella and Lucia beside him. He nodded at the right times, allowed a small smile. Every gesture calculated, designed for the press to capture. Ortega's voice boomed, "Thanks to our generous sponsors, especially the Trump Foundation." Applause thundered. Cameras swung to Donario. Lucia sat straight, her smile bright and steady. But beneath the table, her hand clenched tight. She could feel every gaze pressing against her, ready to strip the foundation bare. One leak, and it would all be exposed as a machine for laundering. After the handshakes, the stage lights dimmed a notch. Guests flowed into cooler corridors. In a side room, Ortega clasped Donario's hand, leaning close, his breath sharp with mint and smoke. "You're playing too big, Donario. The press will eat the word foundation alive any day now." He laid a thin file on the table. Arrows traced from Luxembourg accounts to Miami disbursements to a hospital in Queens. In slanted ink, one note read, "Medellin money circling through Miami, then to Queens." Donario's eyes narrowed. "And you will say what?" Ortega smirked. "I'll say I don't know. But if they find it, I'll be the first man they question." Lucia spoke calmly, her voice like wax, smoothing over the blade. "The foundation has audits. We are transparent. If someone set a trap, then it is the trapper who will be exposed." Ortega shrugged. "Let's hope so. As for me, I only care about my seat." Donario's hand clenched behind his back. He knew this was not street war anymore. This was politics, where today's ally could become tomorrow's betrayer. The afternoon slid away from Orlando like a newspaper page turned too quickly. In New York, night draped itself over the Herald newsroom. Fluorescent tubes buzzed. Printing presses rumbled from the floors below. A young reporter spread papers across his desk. Bank transfers, leaked emails, photographs of crates labeled pharmaceuticals stacked at the docks. A red-stamped memo marked urgent. He could smell it. The sweet scent of a career-making story. The trails looked legal enough. Too legal. So clean. They stank. He picked up the phone. "I may have a story that buries the Trump Foundation." A gravel voice replied, "Print it. The whole city must know which saint pretends to be holy while living in shadows." The reporter hung up, never knowing he had just heard Garrido's voice. That night, Donario sat alone in his study. Heavy curtains drawn, a desk lamp spilling light over stacks of reports, and a magazine mock-up across the desk. Its headline pulsed in his mind like a neon sign. Trump Foundation, Mask of Darkness. The red letters burned. Isabella entered, her face drawn. "They've cornered us. If the paper runs this, the foundation will be ash." Lucia followed, phone in hand. "Father, let me handle it. I'll call editors I know, reach out to donors, stall them. But we need counterproof." Donario's eyes cut like ice. "Proof isn't enough. We need a head. Garrido wants to stain us. Then he will choke on it." Marco stepped into the doorway, his shoulders still bandaged, his voice firm. "Let me, Father. I'll take that head." Donario looked at his 3 children. For a long moment, silence. He understood. The rules of the game had changed. To survive now, the family must wield both blood and politics. Finally, he nodded. "Good. It's time to turn their trap into ours." That night, the Trump family never closed their eyes. Phones lit up like cat eyes in the night. Lucia's voice was soft but unyielding. "I don't ask you to kill the story. Only check the source. One day, that's all." Each crumb of doubt she dropped slowed the presses. That night, the Trump family never closed their eyes. Lit up like cat eyes in the night. Lucia's voice was soft but unyielding. I don't ask you to kill the story. Only check the source. One day, that's all. Each crumb of doubt she dropped slowed the presses. Isabella stood by the window, clutching an old rosary. Her lips moved with no prayer. She knew God rarely touched games like these. Marco in the garage, opening a steel case. His fingers brushed the cold edge of metal. He clicked each piece into place, every snap the heartbeat of a man who no longer feared death. Across the city, the young reporter typed furiously, his fingers numb, deaf to the whisper of wind at his window. Every big story carries its own trap. The draft froze when an email reached Harold's legal desk. Verify sources number A17, number B4. The old editor gave a nod. Delay, a single day could save the entire paper. At the same time, an anonymous package arrived. A scan of fresh transfers tied to a familiar lobbying firm. The stench of K Street clung to every page. The story grew bigger. The lines blurred. Who was trapping whom? Who was feeding the monster? The Trump estate still burned with light. Lucia reported every pause, every hesitation, every cautious editor's "We'll review further." Donario listened, closing another file. Lists of Garrido's partners, fat consulting contracts, hidden veins of money. His voice was slow, deliberate. You don't need to kill the man holding the pen. Just cut the wrist that moves it, and the whole arm will fall. By dawn, Orlando slept. New York rubbed its eyes. Washington gasped for breath. The headline still hung above them like a blade, but the hand that held it was trembling. Garrido called from another number, voice rough with anger. Why hasn't it gone to print? The voice on the other end stumbled, naming lawyers, risks. Garrido cursed, slammed the phone, hurled his glass. He never realized one link in his own chain was already shining back into Donario's eyes. The next day, new banners rose in Florida. Photos of the handshake filled every site online. People spoke more of Lucia's smile than Ortega's words. But in every polished frame, Donario saw only a thread, stretched from an ambitious senator to a bleeding newsroom to a cigar-smoking fox in New York. And he knew survival meant pinning that thread to the ground with nails or with blood. The second night after Orlando, Lucia received a message from an editor. We will hold for 24 hours to review sources. Do not abuse this grace. She dropped into a chair, pressing her phone to her forehead. Isabella laid a hand on her daughter's shoulder. You bought us another night. Lucia exhaled, voice thin with exhaustion. One night is enough for father to set the rest. In the next room, Donario spoke into an old number, his voice low, heavy as an axe striking wood. I need a mirror placed before Garrido. When he looks, he must see his own filth, and the press must see it too. The voice on the line laughed, the laugh of a man who carried the smell of gunpowder on his skin. Tomorrow morning, you'll have your mirror. And it came. Grainy photographs of Garrido dining with lobbyists. A receipt for a bottle worth a year of scholarships. A recording. Push it through that fund. It's clean. Don't ask the source. Enough to choke Harold's legal desk with doubt. Enough to make them ask if they were pawns in someone else's vendetta. The old editor set the file down, looking at the eager young reporters. We write truth, not bait. The story screeched to a halt like a train against its brakes. The third night fell. Donario opened his window. His cane tapped softly against the floor. He spoke of no victory, no defeat. He measured his pulse with the rhythm of wood against stone. Lucia entered, her eyes hollow from exhaustion. I've bought us 2 more days. But no more. Donario nodded. That's enough. The rest, he closed Garrido's file. We do ourselves. She looked at her father, saw no triumph, only fatigue, mixed with iron. She knew Orlando was only a prologue to a larger hunt, printed or not. The trap had been set, and the only man blind within it was Garrido. Elsewhere in the city, Marco wiped oil from his hands. He slid his gun back into its box, snapped it shut. The smell of steel clung to his fingers, the smell of a choice already made. On his way home, he stopped at a newsstand. Headlines about the foundation flapped in the wind like blades. The night closed, heavy as a door. In that silence, footsteps moved without sound. Calls rang without record. Notes passed without signatures. Donario's words still echoed through the house. It is time to turn their trap into ours. And the family understood. It was not a threat. It was a schedule. This is Ping.Stories. I'll always be here with you, bringing thrilling tales. That's all for tonight. Sleep well and get ready, because the next episode will take you even deeper. Goodbye for now, and see you next time. Don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss what's coming. Ping.Stories, where stories never sleep.